what are some of the ideas on narrowing targets? For example, there are hundreds of thousands of agencies all over the US and thousands over the East Coast. What are some things that you do to narrow your focus? So it's a great question. The first is typically, what's the size of the agency that we want? So when you're thinking about your acquisition criteria, these are, what are the things that a company that is your ideal acquisition target, what are the qualities or characteristics of that company? So one of the easiest is to talk about, what does it have in terms of income? And the first type of income that we're concerned with is revenue. How big is the company in terms of revenue? The second is going to be net income, which is typically defined as profit, or in our world, EBITDA. So now you've got two criteria to start with. Well, the next one that you might think about is niche or vertical. So you mentioned agencies, but they're all different types of agencies. So yes, there are hundreds of thousands of them, but there are also lots of different types. So are you looking for an ad agency, a television agency, an agency that specializes in Facebook, a branding agency? You know, all of that is going to be important. So that breaks down into the type of service they're going to provide. It also breaks down to the market they serve. It also breaks down to geography. Where are they located? And that's the target location and the market location. So what's the geography of the target? The company, where is it located? Like, let's see, where is target located? And then we also want to know is, where is the target's market located? Who's the market that they serve? Okay. Then some other things would be, how long has it been in business? Because you don't want startups. So what we typically look for is 3 years. Not absolutely critical, but you're deciding these things, right? 3 years plus. Another is, how many employees? How big is it, right? Because we don't want one person shows. We want companies that are big enough to have managers so that we don't have to run the business, because I don't want to come in and run the agency. I want the agency to be able to be running, and I don't want one key person to leave and then the company's worth nothing. So how many employees? So those are some very easy places to start. And then as you start asking questions, you can get into some more esoteric things like, what is their NPS or CSAT? NPS is Net Promoter Score. This is how happy are their customers and how likely are they to refer the business to other friends. And that also applies with eNPS. How happy are their employees? Then you're going to get into, do they have financial statements? Because if they don't, then that makes it harder to value them. And if they do, then are they audited, which is the ideal, but not that typical, or reviewed, which is more typical, or compiled, which is most typical if they have them. That's the level of scrutiny and review that the accounting company is going to put on it. And then I'm going to jump up here to try to keep it all on the same screen. Then you'll get to, does the culture of that company fit yours? Is it a pirate ship company where it's every person for themselves, or is it a kumbaya, we all work together and love each other, and we believe in, one for all and all for one, which is what we prefer, right? But some people like pirate ship cultures. And you just keep going down this, right? Then it could be, what's the size of customer or order? And then it could be, what's the profit margin? And then it could be, is it a top tier provider? Meaning, is it a market leader? Because if you're buying something that's a market leader, it's going to be more valuable than if you're not. And then you could just go on and on and on. So you want to just think about, what is my acquisition criteria? And then the other thing is going to ultimately be really important too, is it a complicated cap table? So if there are 22 owners and investment bankers and it came out of a startup incubator and there's a broker involved, then that's going to be really, really hard deal. So complicated cap table. And for me, this one is a biggie. No broker. Don't want a deal that has a broker. So there's a few things that you can look at as you're thinking about drilling down on, on the kinds of companies that you want to look at from a acquisition criteria standpoint.